in shaping our future. And as we know that technology is advancing, and we in the educational sector, we have to keep pace with this emerging development. So this webinar will give us a deeper understanding of the impact of ChatGPT and what exactly is ChatGPT. So a brief citation about the speaker. Dr. Rohan Joala is a highly sought after speaker renowned for his dynamic public speaking and engaging discussions on critical issues that impact our daily lives. With over 30 years of experience in education, Dr. Joala draws from his extensive expertise and life experiences to deliver thought-provoking lectures and presentations. With international teaching experience in the Caribbean, England, and the United States, Dr. Joala has taught at various levels, including elementary, middle, high school, and university levels. He has a well-rounded background in education, and he is proficient in delivering course content through various modes, including online, face-to-face, and blended instruction. Currently, Dr. Joala is employed as a senior instructional designer at the University of Central Florida. He's also an adjunct faculty member at 2 universities. Additionally, he is active on YouTube, sharing his research interests and educational insights with over 2,000 subscribers through over 160 videos. He produces new content on a weekly basis. So join me to welcome Dr. Rohan Joala. Thank you so much. And I will just hand over to you so that you can start. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be here. If you're hearing me, just give me a confirmation by saying yes, because I'm unable to watch a chat as I communicate with you. And at some point, I might need someone to kind of communicate what's happening in the chat, because I just want to keep focused. So if you're hearing me, give me a thumbs up at this point in time, or just, I see some responses there.
Yes, we can all hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for the invite. Let me say that it is indeed a pleasure for me to be here to talk about changing trends in education. And I want to say I'm delighted with this invitation, because Dr. Doherty and myself and another colleague of yours have worked on certain things together. As a matter of fact, we did a presentation several years ago, and from that, we had a synergy. But let me say again, thanks. Technology has undoubtedly brought us together. I remembered in Jamaica, we had blackboards. As a matter of fact, we still have blackboards. And with these blackboards, they had white chalk. We had to rub the boards off. And at times when we move those boards around, we had to ensure that they were okay. Today, we have tablets, we have phones, we have so many things. Students are not even looking at books these days. But I remember in my time when you had manual typewriters. Today, we can talk into a device, and the device will type and correct in a digital form. Therefore, I'm so excited to talk to you today. I want to say that I'm from the University of Central Florida, and we have roughly 65,000 students. We have 3 dominant modalities: online learning that is taking place. We have, of course, face-to-face, and sometimes we have blended. So we have various modalities and over 65,000 students. Every student will have to do an online course. So it's quite fitting that we're here this morning to really explore what's happening there. And whether we like it or not, it is coming, and it's going to be here at some point, and we'll have to use it. We're already using it, so might as well we start critiquing it and to look at the advantages and, of course, the objective as we go forward. The truth be told, I am from Jamaica. But when I did my DNA several years ago, 2 years ago, I found that I had a connection to Nigeria. I often wondered why myself was so attached to Nigerians when I met them. It was like there was some family, some togetherness. And my first Nigerian I met was in 1988 at a summer camp. We had a wonderful conversation, and from that we have become friends up to this day. He came on a tennis scholarship to the United States, and I was traveling from Jamaica, and that bond seemed to have not been broken. So I do have a connection. As you can see here, I am 35.7% connected to your region. As a matter of fact, I was so excited when I heard. I did some research. But I want to start off by showing you this morning the power of ChatGPT, and then we will explain in greater detail power of this tool. So I just wanted to highlight, and it's going to just show you, I wanted to know about the region and the people that lived in that area. So I just put a prompt in. If you see me looking from my side, it's just to bring up about the other screen that I'm using. I'm using two screens this morning. So therefore, I asked ChatGPT to write about the Igbo people in Nigeria. And it gave me a history, summarize. I wanted it to summarize. It gave me a history. I do not know how correct this is, so I'm going to pause and bring up the other slide that shows the input or output given from ChatGPT. And here it is. So I want you to look at that statement, and someone who is moderating can inform me of what's happening there. Is this paragraph a true reflection of the inhabitants presently there at this point in time? Or would you take away or add anything that is missing? And I'll see if I can look at the chat box. Yes, I'm able to bring that up at this point in time.
Yes, the response from ChatGPT is correct about the Igbo people.
Okay, yes. So therefore we have...
You can also have responses in the chat box also.
Okay, good, good. So I'm saying to myself, in a minute, in less than 20 seconds, I was able to find information just like that. I did not have to scroll through several web pages. It just came up. And as I'm talking this morning, I wanted us to also, and I think I'll share a document with you at some point when I change screens for you to populate as you think about what is happening here. Because what is happening here is driven by powerful systems that we, and I say we because I use that as a collective noun of the Black diaspora and individuals across the world who have connections to even the motherland, that I call it, to use these technologies to make us more productive. Because when I asked my people in the Caribbean, are you using this technology? They said they heard about it, but they've not looked into it. No, it's time for us to critique it, as I said before, and we're going to be doing that this morning. In order to understand the concept of ChatGPT, we must explore its origin. ChatGPT was created by a group of individuals working with a system or a company called OpenAI to create artificial intelligence. And this work is being done in laboratories consisting of a team of researchers, engineers, because it has to do with some computer engineering skills there, in developing artificial intelligence technology that is safe and beneficial to everyone. I use the word safe and beneficial because this tool that I am highlighting this morning or this afternoon in your country is basically a tool that can be a powerful tool that can, yes, create knowledge that will emancipate people from certain ideologies. Notwithstanding, it can lead to also disinformation based on what is put out. So we have to be very careful. So within that context, we must understand that ChatGPT is a part of the OpenAI system, which is geared at providing technology in such a way that it can enhance our own sustainability and so forth. In the wrong hands, it can be very problematic. Now, we want to go to look at ChatGPT within the context of what exactly it is. Now, I could make up a story, and I'm going to make up a story now off my head. I'm not looking at a script. I'm looking directly into the camera. I would love to visit Nigeria one day. I realize that I have connections to Nigeria. As a matter of fact, the connections can be established during the time when slavery was dominant. It is my assumption that from that situation of slavery, I was able to trace my ancestors back. Based on this, I was able to do my DNA and, of course, visit Africa in 19, whatever it is. What I'm doing is using a bank of statements to create a storyline. The reality is, what I've just done is to simplify ChatGPT, because what it is a generative pre-trained transformer. Therefore, it means that it is using language models to create a seamless flow of language. ChatGPT generates human-like text. As you can build a story, you know, you go and you hear people telling stories just like that, but it is using databases to come together to create that seamlessness as it relates to the conversation. The model has been trained on vast amount of data, and because of this, they are able to make this cohesive connection, and sometimes in most cases, the text and the connections are relevant as outlined in the first example I used. Now, the reality is, and this might sound shocking, is that it is able to write like a human being, yes, but it has gotten so sophisticated that it has advanced the human writing skills in such a way that now people are questioning, was the letter or email derived from ChatGPT? So that is the power of the tool. The reality is, again, let me say, friends in Nigeria and those listening, ChatGPT is in its infancy. It means it's just starting to creep. Therefore, as you think about the future and think about the possibilities, because this is going to transform our lives. Now, I want us to look at some things that I came across, and I did a similar presentation sometime last week, but I added a few things. Now, if we look, we have individuals using ChatGPT, and they're using for various reasons and, of course, sectors. For example, realtors in the United States have stated that they could not live without ChatGPT because they're using ChatGPT to write descriptions for property. And as a matter of fact, it has been said that some are misleading based on the descriptions. But professors have also been using it. And I know we have a lot of professors here this morning. Just imagine, you are marking a piece of paper or a set of assignments, and you came across, for example, students doing the same thing incorrectly all the time. And okay, you have to write that feedback every time you give that student. Just imagine you put the concise feedback that you want to give in ChatGPT, and you give it the command, write this feedback in 14 different ways, and it will do it for you. It will do it for you. So therefore, you have the ability to give feedback. Notwithstanding, please do check the feedback. And some university professors have also tried using it or testing it on their exams and realized that, yes, it can pass exams. As a matter of fact, it passed an MBA exam the other day. So therefore, as individuals use this tool, they have to be cognizant of what's happening. Some schools in the United States have decided to ban it. And I'm saying to myself, yes, you can ban it, but it's going to be on systems very soon. And of course, there are other issues. And within Nigeria, I came across this article, how ChatGPT is changing Nigeria's workplace or space. And I think it's going to have a great impact on the system. Now, as we move forward, I want us, before we start trying, and I'm going to take some prompts that you want. So what I want us to think about a prompt that you want ChatGPT to respond to, and then we're going to do a kind of movement here in the next few slides where we'll put that prompt in. It will give information on what we want, and then we'll make an assessment. We'll have a discussion there. But I want us to kind of look at where we are as it relates to education. We're going to have some simple thoughts here. I want to see this morning that, or this afternoon, because you're in Nigeria, that ChatGPT can be beneficial. I think it's a wonderful tool, although at some time, if you're not careful, it will produce nonsense text that you cannot use. And I'll point out some points on that one. But when it comes on to personalized learning, I would say that ChatGPT can provide personalized learning experience for students by tailoring the education content and their individual needs. Remember, in our universities or any school that you have some students that will not grasp certain concepts. You can ask ChatGPT to simplify the text using simple form of words, or maybe ask it to work that text or that question within the context of a certain age or grade level. depending on its capacity. It might want to focus you on Western style in the Americas because that is where the tool is being developed. So therefore, it can be used for personalized learning in that it can allow students to grasp the content based on their needs and ability based on variation of questions. I think it's a great tool also for tutoring. As we think about tutoring and the needs of students, we must acknowledge that sometimes students want us to break down content in ways that they can understand. And if you're not in the classroom, they might be able to ask ChatGPT a question. And if they're given a start, they can go back to their textbook and have a simpler version of that. So I think there's scope for that too. Essay writing assistant. Yes, ChatGPT can help students to write essays and other written assignments by providing suggestions and feedback on their writing. I have a problem though, as it relates to this one. And why do I pause? Because we have to be very careful. I'm not sure this in the Western world yet, as it relates to the United States. But right now, we can share, you could write a paragraph or two and submit it to ChatGPT. And it would say to you, all right, it's going to fix it up. All right, you could say summarize, rewrite, or edit. It would edit your work and then present it to you. But my question to you at this point, who owns the work that you've just submitted to a system that you don't know where it's gone? Secondly, when you pull back that work and you put forward and you check it on a system, and I'm going to introduce you to that further down, called ChatZero. ChatZero will say to you, this text is AI generated. No, it wasn't. You were the first person to write your 2 paragraphs. It got the information from you, and now it's saying it's AI generated. Therefore, it's not giving you the credit. So we have to be careful of how we go along this way. I would also say, as we look around, ChatGPT can be used for quiz generation. ChatGPT can generate quizzes and exams based on specific topics, helping teachers to assess students' understanding. The only issue is, if you're using ChatGPT to generate questions and then edit these questions, you can't give students access to ChatGPT to actually write the examination or respond to these questions, because it would just be a rotation of the same thing without assessment taking place. Remember, we assess for learning, of learning, and as learning as we go through. We have to kind of step back a bit, because I think when it comes on to language learning, ChatGPT has a potential to really empower individuals to learn grammar, vocabulary, and to have conversation. I could have a conversation with ChatGPT, because the good thing about ChatGPT is that it remembers the other thought if you're using one frame. So for example, if I said, write about Nigeria, and I said, it gave me something else. I said, tell me more about, within this context, about the people located in that region. And then if I say, write a summary on everything you have presented to me, it will do that. So it has the possibilities. Now, a lot of researchers are here in the room. I know we have a lot of researchers, and I want to say that it can be used as a starting point. It can help students to find out information, formulas for various codes, and it can summarize information. It can also be used to find a gap in any literature review that you're seeing. So if you see it's pulling things and it's you're realizing that there are certain elements missing, then you can move forward. So I think there's so many ways that we can use it. Classroom assistant, don't you know, and would you believe that if I said to ChatGPT, write a lesson plan on to introduce students on the periodic table, it would write and outline specific things necessary that should be taught in that periodic table lesson, some level of administrative time, and give you more time with your students. What I'm saying is creating a framework. There are elements that you'd have to consider. However, you would have to still go back and check the stuff. So therefore, there are issues. When we look at also accessibility, I think it will open a way for greater access as it relates to content and so forth. Because I think when we think about accessibility, we can have format or content in such a way that students can have access to that content. The greatest of all for me about ChatGPT as I end this segment, as it relates to education, is that ChatGPT is about democratization of education. So many countries now have limited, textbooks are high, there's practically publishers' content is going to be so expensive. And if we can use that to consolidate ideas about our content, and then we have experts looking at the information we've collected using ChatGPT and finding supportive references for the documentation. I went through just the education points. I wanted us to play around a bit, and we're going to do some playing around this morning. But I want to tell you that when you're logging on to ChatGPT, be careful, because some people think that they have access and they have none. So I put an arrow here, and by the way, the slides will be shared this morning for others to benefit from. So I want to say that you can say try, but sometimes when you use try, it will tell you that we are presently oversubscribed. You have no access at this point in time. All right. So therefore, there is the possibility that you might have problems in accessing it based on that one. So what I would recommend that you do is go to ChatGPT, and the link is here, OpenAI. You must register to use it effectively, because when you use it, it keeps your information there consistently. You will need your email information, your phone number, and other information. Currently, it is free to use. However, there's a paid version for $20 a month. I kind of went with that just to trial it out because it came free last week. So I said, you know what, why not try it out? But the main benefits of the paid version is that you'll have access to early updates, and you'll never encounter any sort of problems as it relates to overloaded with your request. So, all right. So I wanted to ensure, if you're not seeing this when you're signing up, it simply means that you have not signed up correctly. All right. Now, here is where we are going to do a little play before I wrap up, but I wanted us to really do a little play here. Here it is, my screen. And here's my screen, and I wanted you to put your prompts in. If you put your prompt in, I'll take the first 5. If you put your prompts in, what I'll do is to copy, and then I'll just paste it in, and then you'll see it exactly working as it is. All right. So if you want to ask ChatGPT anything at all at this point in time, who's going to be the first? All right. Any question, it could be related to your content, but always put a verb. Write, list, analyze, assess, or anything that you want to do, and then you will put it in and see what it says. So I'll take the first 5 based on time. Oh, you want a brief summary? Oh, give me okay. All right. Okay, you want to know more about Jamaica? Okay. Okay. All right. I'll give a brief. Oh, that's easy one. All right. Copy. So I'm just going to type it in. Paste rather. And I want you to watch this, because this is really in real time. Real time. Real time, it's happening. And then I'm going to assess what has been said based on my knowledge. Vibrant culture, jerk chicken, every element, and I know every element is there. So it has given a description. Very good. Thanks. All right. And the person who put this one in, what are your thoughts? Did it live up to the expectation? Is it correct? Because I cannot, I can't give feedback. It looks good, but I can't. That's not my knowledge area. Any thoughts? Okay, I see a hand up. And I think the person, okay. Okay, how do we unmute? I see a hand up. Okay, any thoughts?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm saying that I can see it is doing the work very well, but I can't see the references to the materials it's being
Yes,
used.
that's a big problem, which I will address later in the stuff. Now you're seeing this, you know it's pulling from references. I think at some point down the road, they have to pull the references in. If you ask it to cite documentations that support these areas, it will. But presently, that's why I'm always saying to people, go back and do the research to ensure that you can support the findings that you have. All right, because these are somewhat generalized and not based on peer-reviewed journals, because there's no way to go back to have those peer-reviewed journals. All right, so let us look at the last one. I'm not sure if it's writing in the correct context, but yeah. And there you have it. It's writing away like it knows exactly what it's writing. So that's interesting stuff. My question to you, did it live up to the expectation of what you wanted based on what was said or what was written? All right, if you do have your feedback, I'd love to hear, because I think it's so important that we share and get the feedback. Remember that document I shared. If you do have time, put some information in. Let me just bring back, we did our submission request already. And I wanted to really talk about a few more things before we wrap up and my concerns regarding the use of this tool. Now, let me start out by saying that there is bias and misinformation in ChatGPT. As you realize that it has been trained on vast amount of data on the internet. So what you're getting is the data from the internet. So you can have bias and, of course, misinformation. We saw where someone highlighted there are no references, but there are systems already designed that will highlight where the references are coming from or taking place. But this system does not have that yet. I think for the future, based on plagiarism and all that sort of stuff, ChatGPT will need to enhance to cite sources. So that's a limitation. But let us always remember that ChatGPT is there for a guide, and you can use it to solicit ideas. There are complexities as it relates to AI system that is being used. So therefore, if it's going to be deployed on various systems, you will have to really think about how that will sit in a learning management system or any other format. Presently, it sits within OpenAI system. When we look at ChatGPT, we must remember that it can be challenging and time consuming for them, OpenAI, to really get this thing running. And sometimes we're going to be shut out of the system. Presently, I would say that there's a limited understanding of the context of what's happening. We do not know now, as it relates to the privacy of data, what we put in, where it goes. So I'm saying to you at this point, if you're using it to write an email, write a text or something, do not mention your school. Do not mention your name in the query. Do not mention any person's name, because you do not know what's at the back end. So we have to understand the issues associated with privacy and security as we use this tool. Just be cognizant of that. And if we go further too, we can say that ChatGPT has no empathy. It cannot have emotions. Therefore, it's ineffective when it comes down to certain things. You can't ask ChatGPT to write a mental health plan for someone within the context of a family that is complex. It cannot do that because it has no emotions, no empathy. And therefore, we have to understand that sometimes what is written, it can be written from a perspective that can be alienating someone or excluding someone, or to, in fact, not inclusive of the population that it's geared at. It is limited in its creativity, meaning that, remember, it's depending on text and other text-to-me connections. Hence, we will see and understand that in order to generate patterns of relationships, it's going to be simple and not as creative, in the sense that, you know what, it cannot fabricate something that is not there within the system. And when it reaches that level, it's time to be really scary, because it's practically taking over our own thoughts, right? ChatGPT will make errors. As I said, it's not error-free. And of course, it can produce nonsense text. We have to be realistic about that, especially if you give it inputs that it does not expect. You know, I gave it something the other day to write, and when it wrote that stuff for me, it removed my context, it removed my voice, it removed everything that I wanted to have in that. So I had to redesign it myself, my way. It's not going to be taking over my space, right? So it all depends on the quality data that's there. You know, quality data is going to be important, and it's always will depend on quality data, quality language inputs. And of course, we know presently that the data that's being used and the algorithms that's being used are mainly within the Western system. Just imagine the continent of Africa had a tool that could really represent its history in such a format that would be a powerful way, especially in a time like now. So there are some generalizations that it will make, limitations in generalization. You know, it's trained for specific tasks and may struggle to maybe generalize in unexpected situations. And that can be problematic. I wanted to show you this picture because this picture is also using a system from OpenAI. It's AI art. And I want to show you the level of difficulties or problems facing this sort of form of technology. As I stated before, bias can be a part of it. But I asked the AI system to design a picture or portrait or art about poverty in the United States, poverty in the Caribbean, and poverty in Africa. And every time the images were created, it created images that were inclusive of only individuals that were Black. Yes, individuals that were Black, meaning that white people cannot encounter poverty, which is misleading, you know? So we have to be very careful, because these things, if we're not careful, will produce inequality in our society. Now, I'm going to kind of bring to you, this is a tool. When you write or take anything from ChatGPT, if you submit it, it can tell you if it is being used was written by humans or by an AI system. So if we look at these systems coming in, whether it be from ChatGPT or Google, because Google is coming in with theirs, you have to understand there's also a system to test. But what is the future like as I wrap up? Yes, the future looks bright, because AI model like ChatGPT, which is being produced by OpenAI, has the capacity to change our behavior and, of course, create text in a human-like form. However, we must understand that there are various organizations and sectors that will use it: education, business, healthcare. And of course, with this comes challenges, including biases that might be included, misinformation, and of course, someone pointed out, where are the citations for these references? And it brings me, who owns the work that you have produced? You know, they would say that it's on the system, so it's open, but let us remember that individuals have always produced knowledge, but we must respect those who have produced the knowledge, and therefore we must reference our work, especially in academia, if we're truly to find credibility in our work. The future for ChatGPT and other elements looks good. It will advance boundaries that we could not even imagine a few years ago. But as technology improves, ChatGPT and others will be a part of our education system. Therefore, as I say to you, individuals present here today, as you use ChatGPT and other large learning models, I would say to you, use it in conjunction with other tools. Use it as you research, and you will get the maximum benefits from it. But let us not forget that you should make every effort to ensure that the work that you produce, you are the owner of it. And you can do so by using the thoughts, yes, to generated by ChatGPT as a starting point, but make sure the actual research is done, because you know that much of the work, scholarly work that we have access to, is behind closed doors or in our libraries or personal books that we've purchased. At this point, I'd like to end and, of course, open to questions at this point.
Thank you, Dr. Joala. That was a brilliant presentation. I have also learned a lot. There are a lot of questions in the chat box. I don't know where we'll start from, but okay, some hands are up. Some people have been posting their questions on the chat.
There are so many. So if I miss any at all, I see one at a glance. No, you do not need to install ChatGPT. You just need to sign up. It's going to be in your browser. And that's it. No installation necessary. You don't have to install it on your computer. It could be on your phone. I have it on my phone. I have it on my desktop. I have it so many other places, you know, on my stuff. T0 to be exact, will now say, is this text produced by an AI? So therefore, it will say, all right, based on how the language is structured and the text and the sentence variation, it will give a ratings and then make an assumption. Yes, you can write a research plan for a PhD program. It's possible. But remember, you have to go back. And I think when you're doing these sort of programs, you have to go back and do your checks and balances. Be said to be an app. It's an application on the web. That's correct. You know, I think that's a part of it too. I think
someone is asking if there's a limit to the number of words it can generate in a content.
No, as a matter of fact, thanks, Rebecca, for joining the group. I appreciate my colleagues from UCF joining. And you can give it, it can write endless pages if you prompt it on. I could say write a letter of 400, 600 words. It will do that. And I could ask it to expand on these ideas and it would do the same. So I think it has a capacity to do so many things. Yes, as a matter of fact, I think I see another question popping up. Turnitin has recently put an add-on on their framework, and they're looking to identify text as it relates to AI generated text. And of course, will university use GPT-0, that is, sorry, again, as a plagiarism checker? Some universities are using it at this point in time. You know, I would say to you, we have to be very careful regarding plagiarism. And why I say this, remember the example, I wrote 3 paragraphs, submitted it, and it edited it for me. And when I put it in chat, in GPT-0 to be exact, it said to me, it was AI generated. So we have to be cognizant of these things that's happening, and how education and educators move in the field is going to be very important. Because if they said to me, oh, it was an AI generated text, I could say, hold on a minute. These were my points. This is my draft. And now I ask it to correct it. And now it's saying my language is now AI generated. So that's another issue too. So we have to be cognizant of that. Yep. Let me see if we have any other. ChatSonic, I've gone through the ChatSonic, I think I've gone through that. I'm not, yes, a language. It's large language models. All right. So the database of languages and so forth coming together. So I think we are really at a stage. I don't know where what you think about it, but I think there are so many things happening as it relates to that we can see. It's going to change our world. It's changing our world already, and it's going to even change further. So I'm saying to you at this point in time, how many of you are ready to use ChatGPT today? Put your hands up. All right. I want to say at this point in time, I think I've taught, let me see, I see 4 more messages. Oh, I'm already using it. Wonderful. Yes, you can ask it to summarize, paraphrase work. You know, I think we're still experimenting with it. My colleague Rebecca, who I saw in the room a while ago, we had some wonderful conversations regarding it. You know, it has come around since November, and I want to say that I think a lot of people are using it. I've heard that some point they're using it to even draft job descriptions. You know, so I think those are things that are going to be part of it. But what I'm saying is, as you use it, think about being responsible as it relates to that. You know, we have to do that within an ethical sense, and of course make sure that we get on the trend of developing ourselves using it, we can maximize our productivity, so to speak. As I come to the end of this presentation, I want to say thanks for a wonderful opportunity to present to the group. As I stated before, my connections to Nigeria, it's real. You know, and one of these days I will exactly make a trip. I don't know when, but at some point I will. It's a connection that I need to make. And I want to say thanks again to Dr. Doherty for the invitation, and for my other individuals in the room who have continued to support the learning journey. And I do wish you all the best. And whatever we can do, I can do from my end, it will be a wonderful opportunity to really facilitate some deeper discussions as it relates to ChatGPT and other technologies. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Joala. We appreciate your presentation and responses to the questions. It's interesting to know that you're related to Nigeria. So we look forward to having you in Nigeria, actually, and for you to also try some of our food.
Yes, yes.
Some people are still raising their hands for questions.
Yeah, we can take questions.
Can we have just few, if you don't mind?
No, Thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful for that opportunity. We appreciate the presenter. Thank you so much for sharing with us your wealth of experience. Now, please, I put one domesticated question online before. I also sent it personally to the host. Maybe that question was not asked. Maybe they might help me to check it. Domesticated question. That is one. Two, I want to ask, considering that numerous people are using ChatGPT at the same time, let's say 100 people are using it at a time, and they put the same question or the same query on the software at the same time in different locations, exactly the same words. Would there be differences in the output of ChatGPT to these 100 million people?
I would say to you, using a smaller number, I want to say that I have submitted the same request to ChatGPT and gotten a different output every single time, because it's not going to sync the same responses. So what it will do is put multiple requests. Hence, that's why you cannot plagiarize an idea that is going to be in various forms. Remember my colleague that I spoke to you about, he created a feedback for students, and he wanted it to be produced in 14 different ways because he had 14 students, and it reproduced the feedback into 14 different formats. So I would say to you at this point in time where I sit, it's going to give you a variation because it's not a set connection to the databases that you're getting all the time. It's going to be varied. And what it is doing also is we don't know what it's doing in the back end as it's getting these new information and updates. So therefore, it's going to be varied. It's always going to be varied. It's not going to be static. It's not a search engine. It's dynamic, moving from one data source to another data source.
So if there is just one solution to a question, like what is the cure for this, or mention the cure for this particular question, particular sickness, and there's only one solution.
So if you ask, yeah, it would give you a different, it would structure the answer differently, but the response regarding the cure would still be the same.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No worries. I appreciate the question. Very good question.
Grace, do you want to ask a question?
Yes. Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
ChatGPT is a very nice AI tool. I've been using it, but I noticed some limitations. Most of the times we want to use the app on the web, but you can't sign in. Being that the queue on the site is very long, and they will be writing questions for you, asking you to have some patience. You can try the whole day, it won't work. So I don't know if I'm the only one experiencing this. And sometimes if you type a question that it can't answer, it automatically logs me off.
It has done that to me. It has done that to me too, Grace. It has done that to me at several points.
Okay.
But what I do, I keep trying. But make sure you have signed up. Have you signed up? Have you submitted, for example, your email address, your phone number, and you have an account with them now? If you do have that, then it should be all right. But it happens to me too.
Okay. Okay.
But what I'm saying is, if you're consistently having that problem, you might need to check if you've signed up correctly.
Okay,
Alright.
we have Dr. Kojo. His hand is up. Dr.
Yes.
Kojo, yeah.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon, Dr. Rohan, for
Good
that
afternoon, Dr. Kojo.
experience. So with the question that you responded to, I wanted to add my voice based on my own experience. So ChatGPT is such a powerful tool. However, if your internet bandwidth is a bit low, sometimes it can pose a restriction to you in terms of you accessing the tool to use. So if you face that issue of you not being able to sign in, check your internet connection. That could be one.
Good point.
Secondly, to that, if you type in a question, okay, and then ChatGPT tells you it cannot respond, and it repeatedly put the same question in different format, ChatGPT will automatically log you out, because the language, the database will train or may not contain information in relation to that question you were asking. So if it tells you it doesn't have information on that, please move on to the next question. Other than that, if you keep on repeating the same question, it will log you out automatically.
Yes.
So just to bring that clarity to the discussion.
Yeah, I like that, because there are certain things that it will not, if you ask, and I think it does do a search. If you ask it who is Rohan Joala, it will tell you that it cannot answer personal questions about someone. I know it has done a check already. But if you ask, for example, who is Donald Trump, it will give you a response. So I think there are some data boundaries there. In addition, if you ask certain words in sequence, it's going to shut you out, because it's going to say that it was not designed to answer questions like those. So what I'm saying, there are some boundaries, and rightfully so, we have to put some boundaries in. They have to put some boundaries in, or else it can be used as a sort of disinformation. Thanks. Very good point.
Okay, maybe one more question. Aki, can you just?
Thank you very much, and thanks to the presenter, Dr. Joala.
Thank you.
Well, also, it's a kind of contribution to the earlier question asked. It has happened to me before, but what I do is the question, and it is in error. I reframe questions. Once you reframe that questions, it is likely to respond. If it doesn't respond, you can log out and log in again. It do work. Thank you.
Okay. I think it's in the early stage. They're just roughly maybe less than 6 months old in their release, and they're actually moving forward. As I stated earlier in the presentation, I do now use the paid version for experimental reasons and for my own use. So I think we're at a starting point, or most of you have been trying to use it, and please, it will get better over the time. We need to keep ourselves in tune with the technology, because greater things are coming, because it's going to be more interactive. Just imagine, what if it could use your personal tone and the way you write to present information back to you? That's another capacity of AI. So let's watch out for that in the future, because it's going to come.
Thank you, Dr. Joala. We appreciate your accepting to give this presentation. So we can follow Dr. Joala on LinkedIn and on YouTube. And the presentation slides will be shared on the AutoAid National Hub Nigeria's social media platform. The recorded session will also be shared. Yes, everyone will get the recording by the end of this.
Yes, they'll